The Xbox Elite Controller Series 2 has been out for a couple weeks now, and I've had the chance to really check it out and test out all its new features. Now, before I dive into a direct comparison between the Series 2 and Series 1, let's go back to the Series 1 real quick. The Xbox Elite Controller Series 1 was Microsoft's first shot at the Pro Controller market. In 2015, they came out with the Elite Series 1, and it was based off the original Xbox controller. It featured a variety of swappable thumbsticks, a fully remappable paddle system, and 2 swappable D-pads. As well on the back, you got the ability to lock your triggers and increase the sensitivity of the actual trigger pulls. Jumping over to the Series 2 unboxing, things are pretty similar in terms of what you're getting, whether that be swappable paddles, swappable D-pads, or a variety of different thumbsticks. But you also do get a new tool that can be used to tune in the actual thumbsticks. We'll get to that one later. The one major upgrade with the Series 2 is its new paddles. They're smaller, they're more tactile, and I feel like you're not going to press them as much accidentally as you would on the original. The controller itself in the hands is nice, it's got a nice heft to it, and overall it feels like a solid controller. The overall black tints that are added in the controller make it look real slick, and I'm a huge fan. Another upgrade Microsoft made to the Elite Series 2 is its new case. The case itself can actually charge the controller while plugged in, and the controller now supports USB-C. Thank you, Microsoft. The case itself has a little rubber cover on top of the micro USB-C port, so you're not going to get any dust or debris inside that port while you're going to be charging or going along traveling with the case. The controller now has an internal rechargeable battery that can be charged up from the case or from just the simple micro USB cable. In terms of design of the Series 1 accessories versus the Series 2 accessories, everything on the Series 1 had a lighter silver tone to it, while the Series 2 is now rocking that matte black and dark tints all over the controller. Moving on to the triggers on the Series 1, they did come with a trigger stop, which meant the actuation of the trigger was essentially cut in half by actuating the trigger stop, and you could essentially press the button quicker than you would on the original. The Series 2, however, upgrades on multiple elements of the triggers. It introduces a textured grip to the triggers, so your fingers aren't going to be slipping off the triggers on rapid presses, and you now get 3 different toggle settings for your hair triggers. You can set it to a default, a medium, and an ultra fast, which you're going to be able to click that trigger in real quick. Yet again, the Series 1 gets beat by the Series 2 when it comes to the thumbsticks. The Series 2 features 4 different variations of thumbsticks: a domed grippy thumbstick, a standard thumbstick, a long thumbstick, and a set of concave thumbsticks. All of these sticks are swappable due to the magnet in the base head of the thumbstick, so you're going to be able to really get a variation. But the Series 2 has another weapon underneath the sheets. The stick's tension itself can now be adjusted for a more tense, heavy feel or a more loose feel. It kind of replicates the original Xbox 360 controller with the heavier feel, or you can always go back to the standard Xbox One feel. Another huge change for the Series 2 is on the UI side of things. On the Xbox Accessories app, the Series 2 features a lot more customizability and is a lot more straightforward than the Series 1. It now features 4 onboard profiles, 3 customizable profiles, and 1 default profile that can all be toggled through that main button, as compared to the 2 on the Series 1. Each customizable profile can be configured and customized and then equipped to a certain slot. Depending on which configuration you want, you can edit it within the app, and now this is where you see the main difference between the Series 1 and the Series 2. Here you have an entire button layout of what each button is currently mapped to, and compared to the Series 1, we didn't have that ability. On the Series 1, it was more pick a button, map it, and then figure out what button that is already mapped to. Now it's more straightforward, and you can just see everything much easier. Another huge addition to the Elite Series 2 controller is the addition to map a shift button. Now, what a shift button essentially does is when pressed, it can remap a certain button to execute another action. For example, here the X button has a primary function, which is the X button, and I can remap it to be the A button upon a shift button press. Now, what that does is when I hit the shift button or toggle the shift button, that X button is now going to become the A button for the period that I hold that shift button. Now, when that button is remapped within the UI, you're actually going to get a little logo to show you what that button is remapped to. Here I remap the Shift button to B, so while holding the shift button, Y will become B. You can also use the shift button to toggle different sensitivity curves on your sticks, so if you want to have a more aggressive sensitivity curve while holding the shift button you can, and while releasing the shift button you can have that default curve. Another difference you're going to notice on the Series 1 versus the Series 2 is there's a lot less customizable options when it comes to the sticks on the Series 1 than it does on the Series 2. On the Series 2, you can set calculations for how your sticks are going to operate, whether radial, axis independent, or true diagonals. These calculations are pretty much going to improve thumbstick precision, and you're going to be able to tweak how the sticks react depending on the setting. On the Series 2, you're still getting the trigger adjustment settings as you did with the Series 1. You can configure trigger, sensitivity, and you can mirror the triggers depending on if you want that or not. The trigger, vibration, and brightness settings are pretty much the same on the Series 2 as they are on the Series 1. You can configure the vibration settings, whether you want the motors to be more aggressive or less intense. You can also configure the brightness of the LED if you don't want it to be real bright if you're gaming at night, for example. Now, one thing that the Series 2 doesn't have over the Series 1 is community profiles. I don't think this is that big of a deal currently, but what community profiles were profiles for the controller made by the community that would be tweaked specifically for different titles. Now, maybe in a future update, we're going to get these community profiles on the Series 2, but that's just something to keep in mind if you're a huge fan of those. Now, moving on to probably the most important part of the Elite Controller Series 2 is how it feels when you're playing a game with it. It feels liquid smooth, the controller feels nice and hefty, everything feels solid, the overall experience from the buttons and the paddles, you get a really great experience when using this controller. Of course, time will tell how long it lasts, and the Elite Controller Series 1 didn't have the best track record when it came to lasting that long. Thumbstick drift was a big problem, bumpers would often break, and just overall there was some issues. Some people had good luck with it, others didn't. Now, compared to a standard controller, the Elite Series usually had a good track record. I think the Elite Controller Series 2 is a massive upgrade over the Series 1. I think they've improved with that new battery, ditching the AA's, a full rechargeable battery that's internal, and the addition of micro USB-C. Everything Microsoft has thrown at this controller has been a positive so far. With the refined paddles, they're more tactile now, they're smaller, the triggers have 3 adjustability options, they're textured, we have a full wraparound grip, we have a rechargeable battery. There's really not that much to complain about this controller. It's also going to be getting full functionality for Project Scarlet, which is Microsoft's next generation console, so you definitely are going to have longevity and support for this controller. So if you're seriously thinking about emptying your wallet on a high-end controller, this is the controller to get. This is pretty much the best of the best. It's been Alex. Thanks for watching.